because you're blowing up the thread asking when we're getting started. So I know we've got a lot of people that are planning on being on today. So thank you for your time. And make sure it pops up. Boom. All right, so it's live in the group. Cool. You see it in there, Stephen?
Yeah, I just pulled it up on my other monitor here. I see a bunch of people are joining. So what's up, everybody? Super pumped to do this. To share this.
Yeah, so I think 2 nights ago, right? You sent me a message and said, "Hey, we got to do a live on how school owners can combat this." And I think both of you and I, we kind of live in the digital world, and we both run businesses that we have remote workers, that our meetings occur online, and we can definitely help you and give you the action steps to implement immediately, so you can overcome this really hard challenge.
Yeah. I mean, this is like everyday life stuff that we're dealing with in terms of using these tools to connect with people and to do what we have to do. So I mean, this is like second nature, and I understand for a lot of school owners, it's not. So, us being able to provide that information to all these school owners, I think it's incredible value. It's one of those things, because I just saw a lot of people posting, and rightfully so, kind of getting nervous because parents are calling in and wanting to put their memberships on hold, cancel their memberships, and I feel like we have the answer to kind of combat that from happening. So it was super important for us to do this, to share with as many people as possible. So I'm so glad that there's so many people that responded to that post. And we're going to give people the exact steps on how to do it. So this will be great.
Yeah, and we're live right now in my Facebook group, Martial Arts Entrepreneurs. And I kind of want to kick it off with letting everybody and reminding you, if you're forgetting, you're not a martial arts school owner, all right? You are an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs solve problems. All right. You're a firefighter. You put out fires, right? And we solve problems for people. And the faster that you adapt, I think the easier that this is going to be to come over. So stop calling yourself a school owner. You're an entrepreneur, and you're in the Martial Arts Entrepreneurs group. So we're not going to sit here and whine and complain about people canceling. This is a solution. The purpose of this is, at the end of this, whether you're in your 20s or 30s, whether you're more vintage, right, and maybe you're not as technologically sound, that you're going to leave with action steps to be able to implement this. And there's no pitch here. There's no sale. If you try these 7 action steps that we're going to give you and you have trouble, reach out to us. All right, we're here for you, because this industry is important to us, and we want to get through this together. So remember, you're an entrepreneur, and Stephen posted something last night that really just, it really rang for me. And he said, "The culture of your business will be tested. Those who've built a strong one will be fine." Stephen, you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. And that's, obviously it's something I was thinking hard about yesterday, because, we're going to be tested throughout this period, right? As business owners, we're going to be tested. There's going to be things that pop up. There's going to be all sorts of different situations that we're going to be thrown through. And, the idea of building a culture is something that it's going to really get us through this, right? And that building a culture, it's almost hard to put into words what that really means, right? Because it's unique for every business, kind of like what that feeling is for every customer. But for those people that really made their business like a family, where they've shown that they really care about their students and the parents and everybody who's part of that community, those are the ones that are going to be okay throughout this situation. So for those that feel like maybe I haven't done that in the past, then this is a good opportunity to establish what your culture is, right? It's a good time to say, hey guys, look, throughout this situation, we understand, things are going to be going on, but we have your back, right? And that's kind of what we're doing as well when we do this Facebook Live. It's saying to all these entrepreneurs / school owners that we have their back. We're going to give them the information that they need. Like you said, there's no pitch here. is because we genuinely care. And you see other people in the industry who have stepped up and provided information as well. They're in the same boat. They just care. They want to make sure that you guys get through this without, as little damage done, essentially. And that should be your guys' take as well when it comes to your customers. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just something that kind of hit me yesterday. I think it's super important to kind of acknowledge the fact that culture is such an important piece of our business. And it's what's going to get us through this.
I thought it was really cool. Michael Evans, who's a part of Skills and he's a Market Muscles client, he posted that one of the parents of his students actually brought him like a truckload of toilet paper because they wanted to make sure that the school was going to be okay. I mean, that is the type of culture that you want in your school. And it just really put a huge smile on my face when I read that. And, we've got to touch on this because I run a mastermind and, I consult a lot of school owners and, school owners are saying, oh, leads are down. People aren't purchasing trials. People are requesting to freeze and cancel. All right. So that's going to happen. There are going to be people that panic. All right. And there are things that are, this is like out of your control. However, hindsight being 2020, I think this is a great lesson for us to understand that there's a reason why you should be building an emergency fund, right? My mentor, Mr. Metzger, when we first started working together, he said 6 months in an emergency fund that you do not touch. And if that means you start building it with $5 a week, then that's where you start, all right? So we've got to make sure that, we say in martial arts, you don't lose, you learn, right? So for those of you that aren't in a situation where maybe you don't have an emergency fund right now, well, this is the lesson. You need to start building that, all right? And, the entire kind of freeze, I know a lot of times you see questions about in groups, like, what do you do for freezing? Well, at our school and what we teach with MAE is that you freeze time, you don't freeze payments, okay? So again, this is kind of like hindsight is 2020, and you've got to make sure that you have these systems in play, but make sure you're learning from it if you haven't already done those things. And the same way that, we're having an open line of communication with you guys, you need to have that with your students, right? Stephen, you want to kind of touch on that, on the different ways that we can be communicating and, what the school owners really should be doing right now?
Yeah, I think the general idea is like, we don't want anyone to request a freeze or cancellation, right? So the idea of what we're going to be talking about today is really how do we continue to provide value where people feel like the money that they're spending is still worth it, right? Because that's why they're doing a hold and a freeze, is because they're thinking, okay, I'm not going to be bringing my child to class anymore, or I'm not coming to class anymore. So why am I still paying this monthly due, right? That's kind of their mindset going into this. So of course, there's other things that go into that as well, right? Like maybe they have a job that they can't go to, so they're kind of tight on money, right? So those situations will happen, and that's kind of out of our control. Regardless, we're still going to try and support those people and give them as much value as possible. But we really want to combat those people that feel like they're not getting the value for their money that's being spent by continuing to give them value through things like online classes and stuff like that, right? So in terms of like how we're going to distribute this information, of course, there's lots of different ways that we can do this. A lot of you use CRMs that have apps, so you can send out push notifications. Hopefully there's text messaging programs that you're using. Of course, with Market Muscles, that's included. So if you want to send out a text message blast to everyone at your school, letting them know, hey, we're going to be doing online classes, you can do that. Emails, landing pages, there's all sorts of ways to get information out to your students. And I would suggest probably doing it on all of those different places, right? Because as we know, we'll post an announcement, right? We'll have it on the TV, we'll have it on the board, we'll have it all over our school. And then there's always those people that come in and say, hey, I didn't know, like I didn't see that, right? It just happens. So we want to get this information out to them on as many different mediums as possible.
Absolutely. So, one of those mediums that we can is with online classes, right? So that's really what our main focus is today, is to teach you, and we're literally going to show you how to set this up for Zoom, because I honestly live on Zoom more than I do in the real world. I mean, I'm on Zoom 7, 8, 9 hours a day consulting school owners and doing training. So what seems kind of very basic for me might not be for other school owners, okay? Now, again, you're an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs should be leveling up your skill set. So I want you to look at this as an opportunity that is now in front of you to level up. You're leveling up as a business owner and as an entrepreneur. So what kind of options do we have, right? And there's been, like Steven said earlier, amazing people, leaders in our industry that are stepping up, that are providing free content. So what are kind of the options, and why are we suggesting to do it via Zoom? Okay, so one option would be pre-recorded videos, right? And I know because there are, CRMs out there that have apps that a lot of school owners already have their curriculum on the apps, right? But that's something that your students are already getting. So it doesn't really feel like it's something extra. So you've got pre-recorded videos that you could post into Facebook groups. You have those videos you can put on your app. You could do, like worksheets that you post in the Facebook group that parents can print out, okay? And you could even do Facebook Lives in the group. So those are all options. And I love options, okay? And we want to present those options. But what I believe is the best option is to do this through Zoom. Because with Facebook Lives, like right now, Steven and I can interact, and we can kind of interact with you guys that are watching through the chat box, but we can't really interact any other way besides that. And just because you are going to have these 7 action steps and be able to start running these Zoom classes doesn't mean you're just automatically going to know how to run energetic, enthusiastic, and interactive classes, which we're going to give some tips on as well. So I think there's kind of 2 options here. Option number 1 is if you stay open. And I'm not in here to get in a debate on whether you should stay open or not, right? That's your personal choice as a school owner. If you stay open and you're going to continue to run classes, then you would live stream your classes through Zoom at the same time of your current classes, right? You got classes at 5 o'clock. You got classes at 5:45. Got classes at 6:30. So this is what we're doing. None of our schools in our area have been shut down. We have spring break next week, so we are starting the online classes next week. And we are having 1 instructor. So we have a head instructor and we have a couple assistant instructors. One of the assistant instructors is going to be responsible to interact with the students that are on Zoom. And then the other instructors are going to be responsible to interact with the kids that are on the mat. Then you kind of have this second option. Well, Chris, we're being shut down. Everything's closing. Like, we're not allowed to be open. Well, then the next option, if you do have to shut down, my recommendation would be to just operate a 30-minute Zoom class, during what would I consider a prime time, which would usually be around 6 p.m., right? Usually 6 p.m. is like the prime time slot for schools. So if we shut down, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a Zoom training Monday through Friday, 30 minutes, right? Doesn't need to be an hour long, doesn't need to be 45 minutes long, a 30-minute high energy Zoom class that'll occur at 6 o'clock if we're unable to run normal classes. And I just don't believe there's any other platform out there that is going to allow you to have the same interaction with your students than Zoom does. And, I know there's people suggesting, you can, have other instructors come in. Like, your students want to see you. And that's one of the, benefits of being able to do this. And I kind of equate it like, we don't do missing in action calls anymore. We do missing in action videos. Because what do you think a student would rather see? Like hear a voicemail or actually see their instructor on a video? So that's why I believe that Zoom is the best option. And that doesn't mean you can't do the other things. Like, sure, do the homework sheets, do the kits, do the pre-recorded videos, put it on your app. But if you still want to maintain a connection with your students, I believe that Zoom is going to be the best way for you to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the way to stand out. I mean, I think you really hit it on the head there. The difference between a live, the connection is just way different, right? And I'm glad that you had mentioned that if you're going to run the online video at the same time as your live class, having someone dedicated towards the video is going to be great, right? Because of course you can just like set up a laptop and then, have it face towards the class, but the people at home are going to feel disconnected unless they have someone there that is like interacting with them, looking through the camera, talking with them, engaging with them. So that piece is really, really important there. There's other things that I think should be communicated to the parents or to the students regarding like how they actually will do this from home, right? So for instance, something that I think is really important is making sure the kids are in their uniforms while they're doing stuff from home. Like I feel like until you actually like strap into your gi or whatever type of thing that you're doing, you kind of don't really feel like you're in martial arts mode, right? So you kind of want to get people in that that headspace of, okay, this is martial arts time, right? So I think that piece is going to be really important as well. So there's going to be instructions for the school owner that we're going to do here today in terms of how to set up the Zoom call, but it's equally important for the school owners to provide instructions to their students or to the parents of how they're going to do this as well, right? So of course there's going to be the technical piece. Okay, how do they log into Zoom? But then there's also the mental piece, right? How do I, get them mentally in the right space to be engaged with doing an online class? Because this is going to be new for them, right? It's new for everyone. We've never had to do this before. So this is interesting. Of course, we're going to navigate this together, but this is really cool though. I mean, it's obviously a crappy situation where we have to do this, but we're all going to be learning a lot of new things. So this is some positive from this as well.
Yeah, and our comments are just on fire right now, guys. So I love it. Keep going. And you're going to get just as much value in the comment section because again, you're getting more options, right? We're seeing people asking, "Oh, are you only going to do one class?" Yeah, you could do it for every single one of your different age groups if you want it. All right. I'm just saying at the least you should be doing it one time a day. And I think that's something that we all can commit to, right? If I told you, well, if you normally run 40 classes a week, then you've got to do 40 Zoom classes, you're just going to kind of set yourself up for failure with that. So, why Zoom? You get to interact with your students. You also get to share your screen, which is really, really powerful. Especially any of you that do, maybe you do have planners that you want them to look at. Maybe you are giving them homework sheets. Maybe you're doing a specific mat chat and you want to show them a visual. You can actually share your screen, which is really cool. Zoom also has a 24/7 support system. All right, so that's really great. I know there was one morning, it was the first time I was ever doing a webinar, and I was nervous about the webinar. I was doing it through Zoom, and at like 5 o'clock in the morning, I was on the phone with one of the Zoom support staff. All right, so that's another really cool feature that Zoom has. So is it free, right? Because I know I've been getting that question a lot, like which level should you use? So why don't we go ahead and break that down? And guys, the options that we're giving you on the low end, because we're going to tell you webcam, we're going to tell you microphone, we're going to give you iPad stands or laptop stands. And these are ones that Steven looked up. On the low end, this is going to cost you about $120. Okay. On the high end, if you get the mic and get the stands and all of that, it can cost you around $350. Are you willing to invest $120 to $350 into your school to overcome this challenge? I mean, I think that's a no-brainer, right? Yeah. So let me go ahead and let's talk about this pricing because there's a couple of different levels here. All right. So let me just go ahead. Boom, boom, boom. All right. So we have these kind of different levels of pricing here, and you have the basic, which is free. Okay. The downside to the basic is that it limits you to 40 minutes. All right. It's going to limit you to only 40 minutes. So if you're doing a 45-minute class or an hour-long class, then that's going to limit you. All right. David, are we still, can you see the screen or is it? Yeah, we're good. Okay, cool. So there is a basic plan. It is free. It hosts up to 100 participants and it's a 40-minute max. Then you have the pro, and the pro is what my recommendation is going to be. And the pro is that you can go as long as you want, really up to a 24-hour period. Now, it also has 100 participants, but you can add more participants. So if you only wanted to do one, and you got a few hundred people that are going to be on this, then you can actually add participants, all right? And it's $14.99 a month, guys, all right? $14.99 a month. You can actually pay for it annually, or you can pay it on a month-to-month basis, all right? me just go ahead and stop the share there. Anything you want to add to that, Stephen, in terms of, the different options that they have?
Yeah, I also agree that the $14.99 a month plan makes more sense. I know the other one shows that it can do up to 40 minutes, but look, you're going to have some time when you first start where like people are joining and like you're kind of just like getting ramped up. So I know you had recommended maybe doing 30-minute classes, but in reality, you'll probably be live for like 45 minutes or so, and you don't want to be cut off before the class ends or anything like that or something silly. So if you're worried about any technical difficulties or anything like that, then I would also recommend that plan. And then also, I know that it said like so there's one question that had popped up is regarding to Zoom is, can you see people as well, or can they only see you? So, and I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I know there's a couple different options for that, but I think it probably would make most sense to set it up so that way only you can be seen. No one else can have their mics on or anything like that, because that'll just start up with, just that's just difficult to manage in general. So
yeah, so we're going to go line by line in setting up this meeting and what I would recommend on how to set the meeting up. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. And I know people are asking, like, is it recorded? Yeah, so you can actually choose to record it on the cloud, or you can record it straight to your computer if you were doing it from a laptop. So absolutely it's recorded. So if they can't make it live, all right, well, now you can either take that video, you could put it in your Facebook group, you could put it on a landing page, you could put it on YouTube, you could put it on, on your app, all right? So absolutely you can record it for those people that can't make it live. So let's go ahead and let's kind of walk through exactly how to set this up. So you're going to go to zoom.us. We're going to drop a link in the comments. So you can click on that if you want to go ahead and get signed up. And what you would do is when you first are in there, you have kind of this profile here. All right. And the profile has this standard URL that is your personal meeting URL. So you could literally give that URL to anybody at any time. If they go in there and you're in there at the same time, you could have a meeting. All right. So it's just kind of like an anytime meeting URL that you have. Now, what you also can do is schedule meetings for specific times. And then that URL link is going to change. So I would simply schedule a meeting. So let's say my first online class would happen, Monday, 5 p.m. Little Ninja Intermediate class. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is down here, I'm going to put the date. So I just go over to Monday the 16th, and then I would schedule it for the time of that particular class. I can also set a duration. Now, some people kind of freak out about this duration thing. If you set the duration for 30 minutes or an hour and you go over, it's not going to boot you out. All right. So my suggestion would be just to set it for an hour. Okay. You could make this a recurring meeting. So every Monday at 5 p.m., let's say schools are, you have to be shut for the next 2 weeks. Well, then every Monday at 5 p.m., they could use this URL and they could access this Zoom video conference. Okay. You could make registration required. I know one of the questions that I saw popping up is, are you going to allow people who cancel to utilize this? If you were worried about, maybe they're going to find the link, you could make registration required. Okay. You can even require a meeting password. Now over here for video, this gives you an option as the host to have your video on right when you start. And I would definitely have it on. And now for the participant, you can also have your participant to be on as well. Now, as the kids are practicing, and it really just depends on what your comfort level is, and if you do have an assistant instructor that would be able to monitor the group, but there's two different types of views in Zoom. There's something called a speaker view and a gallery view. And you can actually see everybody at the same time. So if you wanted to be able to do squats together or to do jumping jacks together, you could actually watch all of your students do it at the same time. So turning this video on means if they have video capabilities, and guys, they don't have to. They can still log on to Zoom, even if they don't have a computer. What I love about Zoom, you can log on from your smartphone. So it's not a necessity to have a microphone, and it's not a necessity to have a video, but it will allow them to interact with you, okay? So down here under audio, I would choose both, let them either call in or do computer audio. And then there's a couple of options down here that I want to touch on. So you have this enable join before host. I would not allow that because you're basically allowing people to get into the room before you're in there, okay? So I would not turn that on. This one I would. This is mute participants upon entry. So if you turn that on when they first come in, then you're not going to hear them, all right? You could also enable a waiting room because the Zoom meeting is not going to start until you actually launch it, okay? And then down here, for those of you that are asking about recording, you can record the meeting automatically, which is what I would do, and you could do it to the cloud or the computer. And if there were other instructors that had, Zoom accounts that you wanted them to also have host privileges, you could actually give them host privileges. And then you just hit save, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and save this. So let's go ahead and make sure we're hitting everything that we had just talked about. I'm not going to require a meeting password. Everything looks good. I'm going to hit save, okay? And now, inside of my meeting, so I have a ton of meetings. I told you I'm on Zoom all the time. Here's that 5 p.m. Monday Little Ninja Intermediate class. And when I click on it, over here, there's a link that says copy the invitation. And I would simply click on that. And this is the invitation that you would give your students. And you could give it to them via the Facebook group or email or a landing page. And it's basically this link right here. And that's it, guys. Now you have the ability to go ahead and start running your Zoom class. I know I did that kind of quick. I'm not expecting you to be able to keep up with it as I'm doing it. What I do expect is we're going to record this. This is being recorded. We're going to upload it and then just follow along as I did it when you create your own meetings. Anything you want to add to that, Stephen?
No, I mean, it's fairly straightforward while you're going through the settings, like you said, for anyone that's, going to be setting up a Zoom call. Of course, you can go back and watch this video and follow it step by step. I think one of the cool things, of course, like you said, that ability to invite different hosts, right? So if you have, let's say a specific person who runs like your fitness kickboxing program, and then you have another person who runs your Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program, you can assign them, the ability to join as the host and then run that specific class. So it doesn't have to be you specifically that's doing it. So that's a cool little feature that Zoom has there. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about equipment, right? Because again, guys, I mean, if you have, really, you could do it from your phone if you really needed to, but I think, we all should have laptops or iPads. But let's say you did want to make this experience the best possible experience. There are a few things that you could purchase, okay? And we have some links that we will drop after this. They're from Amazon. Again, on the low end, you could be doing this for around 120 bucks. On the high end, it could be about 350. But you should have a decent webcam, right, Steven? So you want to kind of explain what a webcam does and.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, most laptops and most devices, they have cameras built in, right? But the quality of them sometimes, isn't the best. So, to get a kind of like third-party webcam will just amp up your game when it comes to the quality that people will be seeing, right? So there's one that we have a link to. We'll post it in the comments so that way you guys get that. Do you need it? Not necessarily. Like if your laptop camera is working, pretty well, but again, this is like if you want things to be good quality for your students, then we would recommend getting the camera that we have suggested here. Yeah, so they have to be able to see you, right? So I mean, right. That's an absolute must. So microphone, all right. For those of us that are in the digital world, mics are really important, all right? If you watch a video that is shot without a mic and then you watch a video that's shot with a mic, it's completely different. If you have really high ceilings in your school, which a lot of us do, I'm one of those people, it can get kind of echoey in there. So our recommendation would be a Rode mic. It's a wireless mic. It is around 200 bucks. So like I said, if you want to do this, full out, then that would be the recommendation. But what's so cool, guys, you can use this for future recordings as well. All right. So if you are going to be filming your curriculum, if you're going to do something, do it right. Okay. And the way that professionals do it is we do use mics. So it's not an absolute must, but they have wireless Rode mics.
that would connect right to your computer, right to a iPad. You can even connect it to your phone. That is really going to help the quality, especially if the iPad or the computer is far away from the instructor, if you are still doing live classes. Okay. Again, is it an absolute must? No, but you know, it's definitely an option that you have.
Yes.
So, yeah, Stephen, you also had the laptop stand and the iPad stand. You want to talk about that as well?
Yeah. One quick thing on the mic. Also, if you're going to be streaming your classes, right? So let's say you haven't closed your school and you're streaming your classes, it's going to pick up like a default mic from like your laptop or your phone. It picks up sound from like everywhere, right? So you're going to, you know, the people at home, they're going to be hearing, you know, people yelling in class and all this different noise. And it might be hard for them to hear the one person who's dedicated towards, you know, the camera. But with the Rode mic, it's really interesting. It won't pick up sound far away. It kind of needs to be close to the person who's talking. So it only picks up close sound. So not only is it like great quality, but it also will deafen kind of like all the other sound in the background that might be going on as well. So definitely a good investment. And of course, tax deductible, right? All this stuff that makes it worth the investment. So, but yeah, in terms of the stands, right? So yeah, of course, like, you know, when you are going to be streaming this, you want to make sure that people can see well, right? So having an actual stand that's adjustable, you can move it, you can, you know, adjust the height, you can tilt the camera, all of that stuff is really important. So that way they can see things really well. So, you know, getting a stand for your device, whether that's a laptop or an iPad or an iPhone, is going to be important.
Awesome. So, and guys, that's it. That's all you're going to need. All right. You're going to need the Zoom subscription. You could pay it annually or monthly. You have to have some form of video camera whether that's an external webcam or that's a built-in camera to whatever you're using, whatever device you're using. We do recommend the mic because it will help. And unless you're going to have somebody actually hold it, then getting an iPad stand. I mean, could you get a chair? Yeah, I mean, like, guys, like, be resourceful, right?
Yeah.
You could literally get a chair and put your laptop on the chair. We actually were practicing this with our team yesterday because we're starting on Monday, and that's what we did. We grabbed the chair and we put the chair right in front of the instructor, all right? Be resourceful, all right? Leaders don't panic, they prepare. So I know we have a ton of questions. If we don't get to the questions on the live, if you know anything about Stephen and I, we will make sure that your questions get answered. We will go back every single comment and we will get to you. All right. I promise you that. So let's talk about kind of the keys to a successful online class, because you can have all the tools in the world, but if you're a wet mop when you're on video, are people going to want to be showing up to the actual class, right? So Stephen and I were kind of joking, and what'd you say about Shanti? They've got to bring out their inner, right?
Yeah, everyone has to channel their inner Sean T. And if you don't know who Sean T is, he's the guy who does the Insanity and the P90X programs, right? And you know, he's always pumping you up through video, and you got to imagine from his end, he's just staring at a camera. But really, you know, it doesn't feel that way for the person that's at home doing the classes. They feel like Sean T is talking to them directly. So, you know, that's going to be something that's new for everyone. But you know, that same energy that you guys bring to your classes every day is the type of energy that people are going to expect, you know, when they log into your online classes. So, yeah, I mean, I think just looking at how Sean T does it is a good example.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, Richard Simmons, that's another, right? If you're a little bit more vintage and you don't know who Sean T is, Richard Simmons, right? So our goals for these classes are to bring three things for our instructors. You've got to bring the energy, you got to bring the enthusiasm, and you have to interact. All right. So one of the things, like when we do Facebook Lives, right? And we'll do this if we have time. We have so many questions coming up, which I love it, which means you guys are engaged and you're thinking, right? You're thinking like an entrepreneur now. You're not thinking like somebody that is panicked. You're finding a way, right? But calling out to those people, thanking them for being there live. You have to make this interactive, because otherwise you should have just recorded it and threw it in the group. All right. Like if I can't see my coach because the school is closed for 2 weeks, I want my coach to, you know, say my name the same way that we call kids out and we spotlight the kids that are in class. You can do the same way when you're in the gallery mode of Zoom, because you can see all of your students or whoever is on the Zoom call. So the same way you do spotlights and the same way that you call out great, technique, you need to be doing that as well. That is what's going to make this interactive. Okay. So once you run an amazing class, what can we do with it, Stephen, right? Like, it's recorded. What can we do now? How can we leverage this video now?
Yeah, this is like one of the beautiful things about this is that there's always this struggle for entrepreneurs and school owners where they feel like they know they need to post content, but they say, well, I don't know what to post. I don't have content. And the amazing thing about this is you're literally recording your classes, so you have content that you can put out in the future, right? So of course you can take the video. We want to upload it for your students who weren't able to join you live, right? So you can put it on your student section of your website, which I would recommend. Of course, there are apps out there, but when you have an app, your screen is only so big. I mean, there are advantages, right? They can do it from anywhere, but the hard part is you can only look at it, and it's the size of your phone. So it's kind of hard to follow, right? But if you put it on your website, and of course, you can do that through Market Muscles, you can do that through other companies as well, having a student only section. But that's really helpful because either they can bring it up on their computer screen, which is larger, but also a lot of TVs, a lot of smart TVs nowadays have web browsers, right? So they can just go to your website through their TV, log into the student section and play their videos. And now they have it on the TV, right? So now you have a life-size you basically in their home teaching them. So, that's pretty amazing for them. But, and then of course the Facebook group, right? And like we said before, not everybody has Facebook, right? Not all of your students and parents are in your Facebook group. That's why we recommend doing this on Zoom, but to take the video and then post it on Facebook after, totally cool. I mean, that's really helpful for a lot of people.
Awesome. So there was a question in here, and it immediately made me think of Beth Block. If you don't know who Beth Block is, she's like the insurance queen in our industry. And somebody asked about, are there any liabilities for the school owners if we are running the classes online? And I love that we're thinking ahead and being proactive. And you could very easily, guys, make it a requirement that if you want access to this online training, that you would just need to sign a waiver online, right? If you have most CRMs, you can email waivers out, and very easy, you could put that together, all right? But I think that is a point to bring up, because man, with that stink, we're trying to do something great for our community, and then a kid gets hurt at home, and now we could possibly be held responsible. We're not insurance agents, right? So who should you ask? You should ask your insurance company if there is something that you could have your students sign. I definitely wanted to call out that comment because I think that's important, right?
Yeah, and I think I see some other comments here like, oh, what if they're doing weapons at home and they break a lamp? Who's responsible? That sort of thing. Like, what we're talking about is temporary classes, right? We're not talking about for a year we're going to be doing classes from home. Hopefully, right? Knock on wood, that's not the case here. So, think about what you want to teach and think about having as little liability as possible for things like that to happen, right? You can adjust your curriculum for the time being. Hopefully this is something that we only have to do for a couple of weeks and then we can get back into the normal schedule. But just think about that. Maybe you change things specifically knowing that most of your students are going to be training at home, right? So you can make those adjustments. And then earlier I was listening to Melody Johnson's live, and some of the things that she was recommending is, because we know hopefully this is going to be a temporary thing that we're doing, you can always make up things in the future, right? And you can communicate that to the parents. So let's just say, we're not doing weapons classes for the next 2 weeks. We're going to be focusing on empty hand stuff. So when we are back in the school, we're going to host a camp specifically for weapons. So that way, students can get caught back up, right? So you can think of creative solutions to not doing specific things just because they're training at home. Absolutely.
So let's get to these 7 action steps, right? I am an action step person. I try to be very prepared and organized with that. So let's go through these 7 steps, because if you follow these 7 steps, then you can leverage Zoom and offer online classes, all right? So step number 1, you got to get a Zoom account, all right? David's been posting a link in the comments. It's an affiliate link, guys. I'm going to be transparent about that. You can just go to zoom.us if you want as well, all right? So you got to get a Zoom account. We do recommend that pro level account. If you are expecting more than 100 people, then you can add additional participants on there as well. So that's step number 1, okay? Step number 2, you got to purchase supplies on Amazon. If I shouldn't say you have to, but you should. I mean, I think we can agree that $120 to $300 investment over a temporary period of time to help our students stay connected with us is well worth it. All right, we're going to put Amazon because all of us can get to an Amazon. I know some people were asking, like, what about Best Buy? Sure, right? But maybe you don't want to go out into crowds right now. Stephen, tell me about that. Tell everybody about that Costco video you just sent me.
Oh my God, I just saw this video. It's insane. I might have to post it. It's this video where it's a helicopter flying over Costco and you see lines throughout the parking lot. People are lined up with their carts just waiting to go into Costco. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. I mean, it's like a shot from a movie or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So we're going to give you Amazon links. Okay. And we'll give you, we'll do that afterwards, guys, right? Because I got them on my computer. So I'll post them in there. So step 1, get a Zoom account. Step 2, purchase your supplies. Okay. Step 3, once you have this Zoom account, you need to practice using it. All right. Stephen, what did you and I do at like 10 o'clock this morning to make sure that we were prepared for today's call?
All right. We just hopped on, we tested it, and that's it.
Yeah, and we use this all the time. And I still wanted to make sure the most prepared are the most dedicated, guys. All right? So you can create a meeting and have your team members hop on. You can ask some parents to help out, but practice utilizing it. You have this weekend, right, to practice utilizing a meeting, right? So step 3 is to create a meeting. Want you to start getting some reps in there. Start practicing with it. Step 4 is practice with your team. All right. So step 3, create a meeting. Step 4, practice with your team. Step 5, you've got to communicate to the parents on how they are supposed to use this. I think the best way to do that is video, right? But you could, put a post out. You could put a graphic out. But my recommendation would just be to shoot a video. Does it have to be Facebook Live? It doesn't have to be a Facebook Live, but make sure that the students of your school understand what precautions that you're taking and what you're doing as a courtesy to your members to make sure that everybody can still train. And you explain to them how Zoom works, right? And what they'll need to do. You just click on the link at this time. My suggestion that we're going to make to our parents is that they have a specific area in the house that at that particular time, this is where they're going to do it, right? To make sure you have enough room to spin around with your arms out. Make sure there's no, vases anywhere if they're doing nunchuck training, right? So let's talk about that because I saw a comment here about jiu-jitsu schools. I'm a jiu-jitsu school. Right? How am I going to teach? How do you teach jiu-jitsu without touching each other? Well, I think I found a way. All right, guys, there are so many different solo BJJ drills that you can do that help with agility and hand-eye coordination and speed and power, okay? We can very easily intermix fitness into your lessons. You can very easily mix yoga into your lessons, all right? So you could require, and ask, hey, we are going to be doing some partner work. Parents, we want you to hop in. What if the parent's unable to? Okay, so we are modifying the curriculum. If it gets to it and we shut down and we're only doing classes inside of, just online and we're not doing classes inside the school, you've got to modify your curriculum. And like Stephen said, guys, there's a way to overcome that. This is a temporary situation. We can do makeup classes, makeup seminars, makeup semi-private lessons down the road, okay? Like, don't let that be the reason. Like, I'm a jiu-jitsu school. How am I supposed to do jiu-jitsu? Like, think outside the box, right? So next step 6 is inform your students. You got to inform them. Do it in the Facebook groups. Do it on email. You can do it with a blog, okay? You could post it in your school on the TVs. All right. And then finally, step 7 is teach an enthusiastic, energetic, highly interactive class. And there you go, guys. That's how you do it. Those are your 7 action steps with setting this up. Chris, that sounds like a little bit of work. It is. Like, do you want to complain about losing students or here's your solution. Okay. Now we gave you the tools. Now it's time for you to take action. Watching this video isn't enough. You've got to take action on it. Stephen, anything you want to add?
No, I mean, look, the whole point of this is to combat that request that I'm sure you're getting already or will come, right? That request to freeze or cancel memberships, right? So if you haven't gotten it, you're lucky, you're being proactive. Do this before they start coming. That way they don't come. And if it's already happened, then start this as soon as possible. So that way it doesn't happen any longer, right? And like we said, hopefully this is a temporary solution. Regardless, you guys are going to learn a lot of skills from this. You're going to be set up to tackle an instance like this in the future. So just, we all need to channel our inner martial artist, right? We need to rise up to the occasion and just deal with it and make it the best possible situation that we can. So, but these steps that we've gone over today, I mean, this is the answer. This is going to really help throughout this situation.
Yeah, and it's going to allow you to keep your students involved. And what is the saying? Like, your students every day are either one step closer to black belt or one step further away. And this is how you are going to combat them, and allow them and help them to get one step closer to black belt. All right. And I'll post the steps, guys. If you missed it, we'll go in there. We'll give you little bullet points. And all of the extra questions that we have in there, we're going to go ahead and I'll go in and make sure that we answer them if we didn't answer them on the live. If you're watching the replay, because we had a lot of people saying they couldn't make it live, if you're watching the replay and you have questions, pop them in. We're going to get notified and we're going to go ahead and go in and answer. All right. Again, guys, please remember, yes, we're martial artists. Yes, we're martial arts school owners, but you're an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs solve problems. You guys have amazing industry leaders at your fingertips. Thank you to the internet. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here for you. Our industry is going to get through this, and I think it's going to be easier to get through it together.
Sweet.
Boom. Anything else?
I think that's it. You want to answer some of these other questions in here, or should we just respond to them?
Let's see.
Let me see if any pop out for me specifically.
There's like 300 comments. I love it.
yeah. I did see a good amount of comments pop up regarding like questions like, are you going to continue to pay your staff? And hey, the local schools have closed around me. Should we close? And those are all really good questions, but obviously kind of difficult for us to really share wisdom on that. There's so much that goes into like even paying staff throughout this situation. Of course, that would be great if you can, but we don't know your financial situation and all of that stuff. So it's difficult to answer. Either way, I just would say, yeah, go ahead. If you have
something to add to that. I think what's important, the same way you're keeping an open line of communication with your members, are you doing that with your staff? And we had an emergency meeting with the entire team. It was at noon. So did everybody come to the school? No, we use Zoom. All right. So we just did a Zoom meeting and I was very upfront and honest with them. We're in a position, we have an emergency fund for situations similar to this. And I told them, as long as the school can pay you, we will. I also said your job title might shift a little bit through this as well, right? Maybe you're playing janitor or groundskeeper a lot more than normal. If we do have to shut down, maybe we'll have you come in on those days off to make sure everything is disinfected from top to bottom. Maybe we'll pay you to film the curriculum. Maybe we will pay you to get everything ready for summer camp, right? And that's something, guys, you can still be pushing summer camp right now because parents aren't going to be able to keep their kids home for 3 months in a row, all right? So I think you need to have an honest and open conversation with your team because they deserve that, right? And if you are, worried, like, guys, there's a possibility that if we shut down and people cancel out, that we're going to have to lay you off. And I'm not telling you that to be scared. I'm telling you that because leaders prepare. And this is the situation that we're currently in. We're doing everything that we can to help combat it. And the way that you can as a team member is to help us get the word out. Make sure the parents know that we're doing online classes. Help with the filming of it. All right. So again, guys, there's so many different ways to run a successful martial arts school. We see that in the industry all the time. We see successful schools that do contracts. We see successful schools that don't do contracts. We see successful schools that do free trials, ones that do paid trials, right? So there's many different ways to run your school. You've got to run it so that when you put your head on the pillow at night, you feel really, really great about the decisions that you made. And that's what leaders do. All right. So I think you should have an open conversation with your team about where the school is, because your team deserves that, period.
Yeah.
Any other questions that kind of popped up?
Let's see here. Yeah, definitely people asking about links to Amazon. So someone suggested maybe pinning that to the top of this comment section. I think that's a good idea. There's been so many comments that I can't see some of the older ones. So let's see.
Yeah, I see one, about recommending them buy equipment for at-home training. Absolutely, you could recommend that. For us as a jiu-jitsu school, there's the really only thing they could buy would be a grappling dummy, which you're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars for. I know Roland Osborne did a live earlier, and his hyper, program, they actually have like at-home training kits. And what he said that I thought was genius, like, if you sign your kids up for baseball, what does the parent buy? They buy a glove so they can play pitch, right? Or you sign your kid up for soccer, what do? You buy a ball so that you can kick it back and forth. So absolutely, I would just be careful on, saying it's mandatory to do that, right? We want to have as little amount of hurdles as possible. And we all can do some, ghost striking, punching and kicking in the air works just fine as well.
Yeah. I see someone, I just lost it, but someone had said, what about adult classes? I mean, I feel like all this is applicable, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Same exact thing. So for those of you that are grapplers, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artists, there's a guy named Jason Scully, and he became really, really popular because he used to put out like 7-minute YouTube videos where he would do like 150 solo drills, okay? You can just go to YouTube and look up solo drills, okay? For our clients at Jits University, we're actually putting together online planners for them, but that's what it's gonna have to be. So if you are in an art where your art pretty much requires all partner work, you've gotta think outside of the box on how you can make this a curriculum that they can do solo. Now, guys, at the end of the day, like, if these kids are stuck inside, they're going to have cabin fever. And all we really need to do is just get that heart rate up, right? Like, let's just get that heart rate up. I mean, think of yourself like PE teacher almost, right? Like, all right, we're going to do some calisthenics. And I think it's really important for you to do it with them. So if you look at Richard Simmons, if you look at Sean T, they're not just standing there saying, give me 10 push-ups, give me 25 jumping jacks. They're doing it with the students, right? So this is a great opportunity for you to get your workout in as well.
Absolutely. Question here, are students only need the free Zoom app? Yes, this is not going to cost your students anything. You're the only one that needs to pay a subscription for Zoom, and they can join for free.
Yeah, so they will have to download software onto their computer, but it's completely free. You just give them the link, and the link will actually prompt them to download it. So the only cost would be to you as the entrepreneur.
Yeah, and they don't need to sign up for Zoom or anything like that. Nope. It's just downloading the app and it logs them in. So
super user friendly.
Yeah, really easy. Doesn't MAE have a platform for getting drills?
Yeah, MAE does. MAE has the martial arts drills platform and MAE Edge, which, guys, every martial arts school owner should have MAE Edge, all right? It's, tools and resources literally at your fingertips. There's business training in there. And then they also have a different platform, the martial arts drills platform, where you can actually get drills too. All right, and we love everybody over at MAE. We'll drop some links in there too. If you guys want to check them out. All right. Last up, I have been like consuming so much. I was telling Steven earlier today, I'm like, man, after this live, I'm staying off social media for a little bit because we're all being bombarded, right? But I think what's important is that we gather the information because, again, there's many different ways to run a school. If you want to do at-home planners, do at-home planners. If you want to do pre-recorded videos, you can do pre-recorded videos, right? We said earlier, Melody Johnson put out a video earlier today. She's providing free at-home planners, completely free, right? That you can have students do. Roncell and Roland Osborne went live earlier today as well. I mean, Roland, in my opinion, is like the best instructor out there. So, you know, take it in, but figure out what's going to work best for you and your team, and take action. Don't just be a knowledge junkie and not do anything with it, right?
Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're all in this together, right? We've got so many people stepping up to provide that information. So we will get through this. And then if you guys have any questions, just reach out to us. We're here for you all.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to call that a wrap. As always, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your energy, your engagement today, and we'll see you later. Peace.
Peace.